I want to take you guys back to 3 years ago at this point in the year. The Lions were 3-13-1 in Dan Campbell's first year. Heartbreak after heartbreak that season. Stains of the Matt Patricia era, still all around. Fast forward to today, the Lions are 6-0 in the division for the first time ever. Swept the division for the first time ever. 15-2 for the first time ever. One season, they got more wins in the entire Matt Patricia era. In one season, they had more wins than the entire Matt Patricia era.
Yes, sir.
One seed in the NFC for the first time ever, and just embarrassed a division rival for that one seed on national television.
Preach, brother.
They enter the playoffs as the betting favorite for the Super Bowl. The fucking Detroit Lions are the betting favorite.
Say it again.
Entering the playoffs.
Say it again.
For the Super Bowl. I said it enough. Amik Robertson, I think, said it best in the locker room after the game. This team saw challenge after challenge, could field an entire defense with the amount of fucking IR players we had out there. And the old Lions would have absolutely nosedived that last stretch of the season, finished like 10-7, limped into the playoffs. But you can't bury what comes from the fucking dirt. The Lions are coming for it all. Welcome to the Fourth and Wrong podcast. I am one of your hosts, Colin, joined here by Dallas, Marshall, and Donnie. Obviously, we're all Lions fans. Let's talk about Sunday, man. That was crazy.
As Colin said, that 2021, we started off Dan Campbell's first year. Now a lot of it was a bad year, obviously, but there were a lot of things to look up. We knew it was a rebuilding year. We started off the year with drafting maybe one of the best tackles in football, probably the best tackle in football in Penei Sewell. That draft also produced guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown and a lot of other people. The year, there were a couple games where we definitely should have won. There were a couple games that just, it sucked. And that year was obviously the anonymous Justin Tucker record-breaking field goal. Me and Donnie were at that game. Still feels like yesterday where I was excited that, they were out of field goal range. Donnie turns around and he goes, "It's Justin Tucker. The game's not over." So, and it seems like that was yesterday, but genuinely almost yesterday. Me and Donnie are sitting in Ford Field playing for the 1 seed, and we're thinking all the ways that the Lions could mess this up because that is just the same old Lions. But this isn't the same old Lions. This is the brand new Lions. And there's been, and obviously, I was just watching a clip of that one win we got, or the first win we got back, I should say, in 2021. I've never seen a team be so excited about one win. It's like they about won the Super Bowl, but. And in the locker room, the guys were like, "This one's for Dan." It's like we needed a guy. We needed two guys, a GM and a coach that we players rallied around. And Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia weren't it, but Brad Holmes and Dan fucking Campbell, that is it. And what a way to end this season. Job's not finished. Don't get it twisted. The job ain't finished. But to be in the position we're in, like Colin said, from going to the Matt Patricia era, we've had our tough times. And, I'm not getting over in our head. I want to be this dominant for the next 5 to 10 years. And I think Brad Holmes wants that exact same thing. But it feels good to be on top as of right now. But again, we've got a bye week. We've got a lot to talk about. People coming back, as we all know. We got some good news today. And we got a couple weeks. And we can take this.
Yes, sir.
I already know what you should. You can cut this. I already know what you said. This man Donnie had his mouth open and he was like,
"Bro, I looked around.
Oh my God.
I was looking at Marshall. I looked at Colin. I looked at Donnie.
Just fucking lead paint stare at the camera. Oh man.
On Sunday, obviously, most of the games were already wrapped up. Most of the divisions were already wrapped up. A lot of backups were played. It all came down to Sunday Night Football, and there was a lot of talk. The Vikings have been on a roll. Questions rise. Sam Darnold, is he a guy? All year, we've been proved wrong, and I think Sunday night kind of showed maybe he's not, maybe he is. We don't know. But the Lions just went out there and just straight dominant. Like there was there was just so many times they got down within the 5-yard line, and it's like, well, they got Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, DJ Hawkinson, and we have the Detroit Lions IR defense. There's no way they don't score 3 points. Fourth down stop, 3 points. It's like, what is going on? So many times Donnie turned to me, how is this defense actually like performing right now? And Zadarius Smith stepped up, got a sack, and what's his name? Al Muhammad, he got a sack. He has 3 sacks in his half the season that he's played with Detroit. He looks very well. Not going to be probably a starter, but I'd like to see him on the team next year. And he'll be decent for us. But we need to give props to 2 guys on this defense before we move to the offense. 2 guys, one in particular, one of the loudest announcements I've heard since, Hutch, probably his rookie debut or something, was Alex Anzalone, man. And you think a guy can't make that much of a difference on your defense, can he? Well, 7 tackles, like 2 tackles for a loss, 1 pass deflection. That man is this defense. And if that doesn't show it, all year Donnie has kind of said, I think he's one of the best linebackers in the league. And I was like, I don't know about that. Comes out of here and shows that he really is just the heart. We have a lot of great players. Kirby and Brian Branch are probably 2 best players on defense, but the heart of the team is that linebacker position. That's why that 49ers defense has been good for so many years, because Fred Warner is one of the best in the league. And Alex Anzalone, man, he just was amazing. And it's so glad to have him back. And we needed him now more than ever. And he's going to be vital going into these playoffs. And second, hats off to someone that I kind of dogged on for the first half of the year for a decent reason, but Amik Robertson, who actually went up against Justin Jefferson a couple times in high school. They were both from Louisiana. I did not know. I knew Justin Jefferson.
They also played each other once in college, too. I totally forgot about that.
So, obviously, when I first saw this, the first time they played, I know Jay Jettas burnt Amik deep once, and then we were all like, well, what's going on? Going into this game, Carlton Davis is out, and then Terrion goes down mid-game, which it looks like he might be okay. Amik Robertson, man, he held him to 3 catches for 50 yards. Known as one of the best receivers in football. And you've got a 5'9" corner who's on a brand new team. He's our CB3, if not for injuries. And he goes out there, and he had 1 reception for about 25 yards. And if you watch that playback, Amik tripped and he started stumbling. Honestly, he probably still would have got it, but he had 1 play for 25 yards. Other than that, this man, Amik, put on the straps. The seatbelt was on all game in this man. Jay Jettas walked up to the line, slapped the ground, and then proceeded to get strapped. It was like, and then there were definitely some throws that Sam Darnold missed, but there was also some just great coverage by Amik. So huge shout out to him. That was an amazing game. I have not seen a cornerback play like that for the Lions. Carlton Davis has done well this year, but man, watching someone strap up that good, man, Big Play Slay must be back on the team with how good it looked. So I'll move on to someone else, but an amazing game. The offense, Jahmyr Gibbs, 4 touchdowns, the all-time Lions leading touchdown record. You love to see it. It's crazy. We didn't even realize it was that close till Dallas, I think, mentioned something this last week or 2 weeks ago. And what an amazing game from him. He's just electric. And then the rest of the offense just it looked struggled there for a little bit, but they pulled it together. So I'll let one of you guys take over.
Marshall was giving out shout outs. Shout out to Aaron Glenn, man. This man knew exactly how to tear up this Vikings offense. In my opinion, he outcoached Kevin O'Connell and that entire staff. Now, the big question for the Vikings in general is Sam Darnold the guy for your franchise? Because originally coming into the season, we were like, it's got to be JJ, but Sam Darnold won the quarterback battle, I believe, and then JJ got hurt. So then it was like, oh, it has to be Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold his hat was in the MVP race for a split second. Aaron Glenn said, nah, he's going to be seeing ghosts out there once again. Oh my gosh. Darnold looked terrible. So that's going to be a big question for the Vikings, especially come their playoff game against the Rams, is that going to be the Sam Darnold that they get, the one that's seeing ghost, or the MVP? And then depending on which one they get, that's going to be a big question for them in the offseason, in the future. But Aaron Glenn, shout out to Aaron Glenn. Shout out to the defense as a whole.
They were talking on the broadcast. They were talking about should the Vikings trade JJ McCarthy and roll with Sam Darnold next year, as he's playing his worst game since he was like a Jet. Like,
as we're saying this earlier today, Daniel Jones got activated to the active roster, so we might see Daniel Jones against the Rams.
Bro, don't let him cook in the playoffs.
Daniel Jones does have a playoff win. Let me get that straight.
He does.
Against the Vikings, but hey,
if that man comes out and cooks, oh my gosh,
could you imagine
the storylines if that happens?
It'd be one of two things. We know Sam Darnold's washed, and then two, Kevin O'Connell maybe coach of the decade with how this man could put me at quarterback. And bro,
we'll talk about coach of the year in a few minutes, because I got some things I want to say about that too.
But yeah, the last thing I want to say, Jahmyr Gibbs with the massacre of Minnesota is what I'm gonna call it.
He joined Barry Sanders as the only two players in Lions history to score 4 touchdowns in one game, which is crazy.
3 rushing was about 60 yards off of 2,000 scrimmage yards on the season.
That's crazy. Last episode we were talking about Marshall Faulk.
He's only like
2000 and
he quietly put up a top 5 rushing season in the league this year. Nobody's talking about it.
He should be. He
had 1,400 yards.
He'll be a second team All-Pro. There's no question about it. I mean, they might sneak him in at first team All-Pro with Saquon, because it's 2 running backs, I believe, make first team All-Pro. So it might be him and Saquon, but I bet you it'll be Derek and Saquon, and then probably Jahmyr Gibbs and whoever at second team All-Pro.
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs had a top 3 season as a running back this year.
Yeah.
And just shout out to Jahmyr, shout out to the offense. I mean, Jared Goff kind of scared me, a little bit. But I'm not too worried. I know Jared Goff can perform in the playoffs. We've seen it before. I'm confident in this team, and that bye week is crucial.
That bye week cannot be overstated how huge that bye week is for Detroit.
Shout out Andrew Van Winkle for dropping that interception that probably could have cost us the game.
That was honestly the difference maker. That could have been the turning point to tip all of the momentum into Minnesota's favor.
Bro's the best Lions player of all time, man. For that one right there, that's a rough one.
Lifetime contract when he wants out of Minnesota.
That's crazy. Donnie?
I don't know if fucking Goff must have had a parlay in on the fucking Vikings or something, because not only was that throw bad, the one where he had 2 defenders in his face and he tries lobbing it over somebody who's clearly like 6
Oh my God.
You guys can shit on me all you want, but I think I even turned to Marshall or Brennan at the game and I was like, all right, that's where you gotta like go a little Matt Stafford and like instead of here, like throw it sidearm. Like fucking Matthew Stafford did a lot of things stupid, but if he had a defender in his face, he was good at moving his arm and throwing it around the dude. So I was like, come on. Like that
or like you like fake the lob and then real quick sidearm it.
Yeah, it's like you were never gonna get that off.
No. That one was real bad.
Meek played great. All these guys played great, but yeah, Alex Anzalone is I always brag him up because he is one of my favorite defenders, but it is truly like he is the most underrated defensive player in the league on any team, in any scheme. Like, he played all but 1 snap yesterday, and the fact that the Lions defense went from giving up 33, 34 points a game and are playing a top 10 offense in almost every single metric, and they only allow 9 points, that's absurd. Like, he did great on pretty much every play except one. I think it was TJ or somebody burnt him on one inside route. It's going to happen. He's not the best in coverage either, so like that's probably his worst aspect as a linebacker. But yeah, that Kevin O'Connell, for as great as he is, I was just thinking about this as we were talking about him. It was definitely during this game. I don't know if it's for his full time because I don't know the Lions' full record against him, but it might be a little Ryan Day versus Michigan situation because he got out mentally finessed in that game. He went into Detroit And it wasn't Dan Campbell adjusting his game plan to Kevin O'Connell. It was Kevin O'Connell saying, okay, I got to coach completely outside my norm to associate for Dan Campbell. They, I believe, statistically are a team that goes for it like the least on fourth down. Like they're definitely, I believe, in the bottom half. And the fact that they
went for it like 3 or 4 times.
They were going for it on 4th and 5, 4th and 6 in the red zone. Like, and that would be not as big in the second half, but in the first half, you're talking like this was a field goal game for most of the first half. It's not all. So it's like he 100% like came out and said, I can't coach the way I normally coach because this guy's on the other sideline and I need to adjust. Which, yes and no. Like maybe if you're super conservative and you're playing somebody that aggressive, like maybe you sway a little bit. But he's like on this side of the spectrum and he went full tilt to the other side. So it's like he's a great coach. He's a great offensive mastermind. But maybe Dan's got a little something on him going into all these future matchups if Kevin O'Connell stays in Minnesota, which I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but that's also a big storyline.
Why wouldn't he? That'd be so weird.
Well, teams are wanting to trade for him. Like it's going to be a thing where that's talked about because he's on.
Coach, you switch your coach, you're basically giving up the next you got to rebuild. It's almost a rebuild.
As a Lions fan, I want him to leave because I think he is a really good coach, and I don't want him to stay in the NFC North. But yeah, like. He's, I believe, on the last year of his deal.
If you're the Vikings, you're giving up literally. You have to rebuild. You're giving up the next 5 years to win anything. There's no way you're going to bring in a better coach and be able to do something. There's just no way. You would have to give them. I'm not even kidding you. 3 to 4 first round picks. There's just no way. Like that seems absurd.
Like I said, I don't see it either. It's just open. It's a conversation solely because of the contract. But yeah, I think the Lions, this is obviously a huge bye week. That was a defense getting some guys back, kind of slapstick together, because I believe Anzalone had 2 full practices, maybe only 1 full practice going into that. So you're talking about a defense getting pieces back and just kind of slapping them on like a Band-Aid and like saying, hey, let's go see what we can do. Now you're getting those guys even healthier, and they get a full 2 weeks to practice, and like they get to just sit and relax and get their bodies right. It's like, this could be huge.
Mm-hmm.
This could be
because I mean, before they got injured, the Lions defense was playing like they weren't like some elite unit, but they were like good. I mean,
before everybody got hurt,
before everyone got hurt,
I think
they were a fringe top 10 defense. I think
we were for sure top 10 before like Hutch got injured. We were fucking playing off the chain. Like
even once he got hurt, they were still playing fringe top 10.
I think we probably were top 10.
It was really once like I don't know when
the week that Aleem and Carlton both went down. That was rough. Mm-hmm. The week that Aleem and Carlton Davis both went down. Our starting corner, our starting D tackle, that one was rough.
That was only week 15 though. That was after the injury. That was after.
Yeah, that was the Bills game.
I would say, and to circle back on what I said and have been saying, I think the biggest change was probably around week 10 or week 11 when we lost Alex in that Jaguars game, week 11. Mm-hmm. Like after that game is when they went from 17 points allowed, whatever it was, to 34. Like that's where it was.
And I speak for everyone where we're very happy to see Khalif out there and kicking punt returns instead of Tom Kennedy, man.
There was a couple TK would have took back. There was a couple he would have took back.
Took back the other way and maybe to the safety, but
took him to the house.
No.
To his house. He would have taken that ball. I played a snap.
He don't have a house. Bro's future is never known.
Bro lives at the stadium. Like they can't get rid of him. Like
Bro lives at the practice facility. But no, and then obviously the amazing news that we've got today is that Dan Campbell came out and said that he is expecting David Montgomery to play in the divisional round, which is unbelievable news. Even with it just shows how much David means to this team and how much he helps his team. Even with Jameer's 4 touchdowns, over almost 200 yards of scrimmage, I believe. Like having David back is just amazing because in some situations, you bring out Gibbs. You don't also got to worry about injury. I guarantee, like Gibbs was a workhorse that game. Like he literally got, like they threw in, but he had 23 carries, and then he also had 5 receptions, and he's probably playing a lot more snaps than that. So That was 6-point average per carry is insane. But having David back is really going to help the goal line. Obviously, all of Jameer's touchdowns were not 10 yards in. And there were some runs to start off the game where Jameer gets 1 or 2 yards or 0 yards. But having David back is going to be huge. Even though I think Jameer is the better running back, I think David is just a vital part of this team, and we need him. So I'm glad to have him back. He's just another player that can help us go face whoever we face. That's the only thing we don't know who we're going to play. It could be I don't think the Packers are going to upset in Philly, but it wouldn't be the first time they've upset an NFC East team as a 7th seed. Obviously, looking at last year. I could see Washington going out and beating the Commanders, Washington going out and beating the Bucks. And then Minnesota, LA is really a toss-up. I don't know if Minnesota's gonna be able to come back from that really bad hangover of the Lions game, or if they just come back to full form and they just take down Stafford. I don't know. So we really don't know. We could play Green Bay, we could play Washington, we could play Minnesota, or we could play LA. All 4 of those are possibilities. And
wild stat about the Vikings and the Rams is so the Vikings obviously have 3 losses this year. If they lose to the Rams, that would be 4. So they'd be 0-4 against the Lions and Rams this season. Also, both games would be in back-to-back weeks twice this season. Wow. Just wild that they're playing them back-to-back again.
I think all those games would be pretty scary. LA Rams would be a bit scary. You never know. Coming back, Rams could get their revenge. Minnesota, even though we just beat them, they're still a great team. Washington is probably the most but then again, we struggle against scrambling quarterbacks, but with Anzalone back, I think we'll be all right. But Jay Daniels is pretty good. And then Green Bay, I'm not worried about Green Bay at all. I'm just worried about the Lions choking, Goff having one of those games and us draw. I'm more feared at that. I'm not worried about us being able to contain Jordan Love. Honestly, I'd be more worried.
I think,
Willis.
Truthfully, the Packers are going to be lucky to get past Philly with Christian Watson out.
If Jalen Hurts plays. They do not know Jalen Hurts will play.
Well, they just cut the quarterback they signed, so it's looking good for Jalen playing.
Well, they still have Tanner McKee and Kenny Pickett. So.
Kenny Pickett's gonna get cut, and Tanner McKee's gonna stay on the team.
Tanner McKee's a dog. He's way better.
he's a dog. But Kenny threw that bitch at the ground. So
I don't know. I feel like even if Hurts doesn't play, the Eagles still win, but it'll be a lot closer. But Saquon may, if Jalen Hurts doesn't start, Saquon may go for 1,000 yards in a game. Not even lying.
I figured we could talk about firings too.
Yeah, so been a couple. Obviously, Gerard Mayo was fired from the Patriots. Antonio Pierce has been announced as being fired from the Raiders. The Giants have announced they will keep Brian Daboll and Joe Judge as their GM and head coach still. Obviously, Robert Saleh was fired. I'm just kind of going over all the firings from here. I'm looking at a list of vacant head coaching jobs. Eberflus was fired. The Saints head coach was fired. And then the Titans GM
can't even give his name. Just got to say the Saints head coach.
Yeah, I'm just going down the list looking at the teams. But
who the fuck is Doug?
The 2 recent ones were obviously Gerard Mayo and Antonio Pierce. And then when did Doug Peterson get fired?
Yesterday, I think.
Yesterday? Okay. I wasn't sure how long ago his was, but those are the main firings.
I remember we expected it to come mid-season, but it never did.
He literally got fired yesterday. He figuratively got fired fucking week 4.
In London.
He got fired in London. They said, he doesn't have a flight back to America. I guess we'll keep him.
It's weird, so they were going over a list of and the Raiders are saying they're going to keep their GM as well, Tom Telesco, however you say his name.
Tom Telesco.
It's always a weird subject talking about first-year firings. Firing a coach after their first year is kind of wild.
Hey, if it scares Ben Johnson into staying in Detroit,
which is exactly the rumors are that Aaron Glenn is almost guaranteed to leave. They are almost saying bro's gone. A couple different jobs, Saints, Jets. I'm going to say Jets. Honestly, you take him to the Saints. They already have their GM. They're in an awful fucking cap situation. and it's just rough. Glenn's a defensive guy. You're going to an already pretty decent and stacked defense. Quentin Williams, Ahmad Gardner, DJ Reed Jr., a lot of stars on that team. Just got to get yourself a quarterback, but you're going to have a top, 10 pick. I'm not sure exactly what pick they have. And they're about to get a new GM. So that way it's like a Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell. I feel like that's the best way to bond with a GM is you guys are both hired at the same time. You would work together on the team. So I feel like if I had to put my money somewhere, I'm putting at least 100 on, honestly, Aaron Glenn going to the Jets if he leaves. The rumors are that Ben is not going to leave because he's scared of something like that happening. I get it because if you look at the head coaching jobs now, I mean, the Bears is really the one that I feel like he'd have the best shot at. Jaguars is kind of a dumpster fire. Same thing with the Raiders, the Saints. Those are the Jags. The Jags isn't too bad. Honestly, I think the Jags is probably the second best situation to be in. But you got Trevor Lawrence. You've got a good team. You just need to build that defense up a little bit better and see if Trevor is a guy or not. But those were mainly most of the firings. Tyreek Hill came out and said he would like a trade off the Dolphins. We'll see what happens there.
Did you see him change his Twitter profile picture to him photoshopped onto the Antonio Brown from the Bucks game where he ripped off his jersey and walked out of the tunnel halfway through the game?
Yeah, I know Tyreek said once his contract up, he wanted to retire. That was like 3 years ago. I doubt he's going to do that. Honestly, I think he realizes he doesn't want to be done. But obviously, everyone made the joke about him going to Lions. I doubt that's going to happen. I think I just think that'd be cool. But like, I don't know.
He just don't fit the team.
We've got a deep threat, and even then,
vibe-wise,
yeah, it's just I don't know. It's not there, but yeah. And then obviously, there's been a lot of speculation. I'm a huge fan of him. I never was as a coach, but as a sports analyst, he's one of my favorites. Rex Ryan has been rumored also as the Jets, one of their candidates at head coach. I think the Jets are going to be in a solid spot either way if they get Aaron Glenn or Rex Ryan. I like Rex Ryan. I really do. I just think bro's kryptonite was Tom Brady. And now that Tom Brady's out of the league, bro might come back just to fuck with Rex Ryan, not going to lie. But, yeah, that would be pretty sweet as well. And I know there's been some speculation about Robert Saleh maybe coming to the Detroit Lions if we get rid of Aaron.
I don't think there's any speculation. It was just what I want to see happen.
Yeah.
Well, I saw someone say that they were trying to reach Robert Saleh, and he isn't going to get a head coaching job, is what it sounds like. I know Schefter was talking about that, but he didn't say anything about the Lions. But that was when things started coming out about teams that need defensive coordinators. And if Bro wants the best position to put him in a head coaching position, it is the Detroit Lions. Bro's going to have a stacked, healthy defense.
Like I said, he's
season.
From Michigan.
He's going to have a
return to your
hometown.
hometown.
Who doesn't want to work with Dan fucking Campbell? It's like, that is fucking amazing. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens as time goes on. But yeah, those were the main firings, I believe. If there's some that I missed, you guys can chime in or you guys want to.
This was gonna be one of my media questions. Who do you guys think has been the biggest winners and losers so far, team wise, out of the firing cycle so far? Like me personally, I think the biggest loser, and it's not even close, is the Colts. I think the Colts are like, if I had to pick a team, if you made me like, hey, what's a team that's going to for sure be like bottom 3 in the league next year? I'm picking the Colts. Yeah. I know I was high on them going into the year. Now I am like 1,000% out. I like Shane Steichen, and I even like Chris Ballard. But the fact that team just kind of like quit, and like it's been a thing like Pat McAfee's talked about a lot, like the culture in the locker room and shit. Guys missing meetings, guys missing treatment, like the way Anthony Richardson tapped out of games. And the fact that like Jim Irsay saw all that and he said, okay, we're going to run it back. Like they're not making any big changes after that. And I would say this year was a big failure for them. So like, I think that running it back is asinine. I don't see why. Like I wouldn't have fired Shane Steichen maybe, but like Chris Ballard's been there for almost a decade. Like that one I'd have let him go. There's a lot you could have done. Another one that I think is a kind of a loser that's not really going to get talked about a lot is the Bengals. The Bengals fired their DC, Anarumo. I can't remember his first name, but that's his last name. Who I think is a good DC. Like, if the Lions lost Glenn and we hired him, I'd be extremely happy. I don't know all of his schematics type stuff, but he's a good DC. Like, he literally was the DC for a defense that went to the Super Bowl. Like, I know it's Joe Burrow, but like that defense was good that year. He's never had best in the league defenses, but like it's kind of like Glenn. Like before, it was okay. He's doing pretty good with the talent he has, and I think the Bengals, their defense was bad this year, not because of him. I think it was bad because they let so many pieces walk out the door, and they didn't really replace them with
that's fair.
High-level guy. So I think right now he's being the fall guy. He's a good coordinator who's taken the fall for an organizational failure of letting defensive pieces leave and not replacing them properly.
When you first said the Bengals,
I think that's a big loss as well.
When you first said the Bengals, I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?" But now that you mention it, like all of those points, I think you got something there. I
mean, as long as
I apologize for my overreaction.
As long as they bring in some pieces and go get a DC, as long as they get some defensive keys, they'll be.
They gotta lock down Hendrickson. They can't let that man leave Cincinnati.
If they lock down Hendrickson, go get a. They let JC Bates go, which was fucking stupid.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. They let all these guys go and they didn't replace him. And it's like, as good of a coordinator as he is, like, he's not a fucking miracle worker. Like, if you let guys leave and you don't replace them, like, of course the defense is going to suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the one winner I wanted to point out, which is going to sound kind of crazy, I think the Patriots are a big winner, and this is on speculation. Whoa. I think Mayo is
unless you are about to say because they're about to hire Mike Vrabel. That might be the only reason.
No. I think Mayo being groomed for the position from Bill, it was a good thing and a bad thing. Because I think it was a good thing because, like, obviously you want Bill Belichick to sign off on you as a head coach. I think that's huge. But the fact that, like, they're going through such a big organizational change, and you, like he's worked as a coach for a while in the league, but it's all been under Bill. So it's like, how much of a restart is it if the guy that you're bringing in to replace a legend is just a guy who's only ever worked under that legend? You know what I mean? Like, he was probably trying to be his own person, but like, if I learn under Bill Belichick, like, of course I'm gonna like kind of do shit like how Belichick does shit. I think they just need a change from that. And yeah, I think they're gonna go out and get Mike Vrabel. I don't think you fire Mayo unless you're pretty sure you're getting Mike Vrabel. And he was there in the Patriots, but he never coached under Bill. He only ever played. So he got to see the Patriot way, and then he got to go other places and actually be his own person. And now he can come back and kind of mesh those concepts together. So I think they're a big winner. Yeah, I don't really know who else has won, to be honest with you. I think the Raiders kind of won. I don't think Antonio Pierce was that good, but I mean,
if the Jets get Rex Ryan or Aaron Glenn, they are winners in my opinion.
I think there's a 0% chance Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets.
Where would you go though?
I think he is I think he is damn near guaranteed to, if he leaves, he's going to go to the Saints.
I don't think so. I think that's stupid.
This is the thing.
They're in a shitty spot.
Yes, they are. This is why I'm saying this. I don't think he's like the greatest coordinator in terms of to get a job. I think if you're ranking candidates right now, I think Ben Johnson's one. Then you're talking guys who are like retreaded coaches. You got Mike Vrabel. I mean, fuck, honestly, Mike McCarthy might be up there. Like, I don't like Big Mike. I don't think we like Big Mike, but like
I think Aaron Glenn is the second best candidate for head coaching job. I think
he's a
Vrabel's kind of already locked into the Patriots, so you can't really even say him. Aaron.
Not yet. In theory, not yet.
But Aaron Glenn is the second best coordinator for a head coaching job right now. Like, I don't think there's anybody else above him. He is the second best. You can't put anybody else above him.
Technically, Bill Belichick is available per his contract.
Yeah. I think Aaron Glenn is like a really solid I think he's a solid coach and a great dude. He's one of those hires that, like, if I was a team like, I guess the Saints are kind of fit this bill, but not exactly. If I'm a team like the fucking Jets, honestly, I don't think he's going to the Jets, but I'm saying, like, from a perspective of a team in that situation. Like, nothing's going right. You've had nothing but just kind of bullshit happen the last few years, and you need somebody to come in and, like, do a hard culture reset. Aaron Glenn's great for that. He's going to come in, he's going to set shit straight. He's going to be good.
Ain't no way.
You're going to go from a 3-win team to a 7, 8, 9-win team, and he's going to reset the culture, but he's not going to be the guy to actually, like, get you to a Super Bowl.
I just realized I share a fucking birthday with this man, Aaron Glenn.
Who?
I just realized I share a birthday with this man, Aaron Glenn.
That is wild.
No, I think he'll be a good coach. I think the Jets are just the best. He played for the Jets, and he just, I don't know. I feel like that's the best. He knows the city. He lived in the city. That's his city, man.
The problem is, we gotta think in terms of the owner. And Woody Johnson's come out, and he's not a fucking good owner. He's kind of got that Jerry Jones aspect where it's like he's gonna do what's good optically, and I don't think optically the best hire is Aaron Glenn. I think if he's gonna go with somebody like an Aaron Glenn, he would just hire Rex Ryan again. Honestly, like, I wouldn't do that if I was him, but, like, I think just from what we've seen in the media of him, I think Rex Ryan. I
just don't think there's another coach really that's available that they're gonna get. I just think Aaron Glenn's probably one of the only people that's available right now, and that's probably who they're gonna go get.
I tell you what, I am already willing to label the Bears as losers of this offseason because their GM, did you see what he said today about how it's not an important factor to have, like, a good relationship with the head coach or something like that? Basically, he was like, I was going to say. And a bunch of people were like, all right, well, I guess bye-bye Ben Johnson, because, like, that's, like, the Lions' whole culture is, like, all of that, like, meshing together. So, if you fumbled the Ben Johnson bag, I don't know what to tell you.
I didn't realize Aaron Glenn was part of the expansion draft. He played for the Jets from 94 to 01, and then 02. He was part of the expansion draft, and he was picked number 3 overall. I did not realize that. And then he went to the Texans for 3 years, and he sucked.
I've been on the mental train that, like, Ben Johnson's going to go to the Bears, and, like, I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. The way that they are that was one of the bullet points I wrote down to talk about. The Bears have to be the worst organization that, like, is optically viewed as a good organization.
Agreed. When you draft Caleb, you're automatically bad.
No, I'm not talking about Caleb. I'm talking about
when you draft Caleb, you fucked up.
I'm talking about everything except drafting Caleb, to be honest. I think
Bryce Young was their guy.
I think that's the only good thing they've done since they traded for Khalil Mack. Like, it has been a long time.
Bryce Young's better.
No. But I don't know if you guys have seen the full list of some of these guys they're bringing in for interviews. It is a who's who of who gives a fuck. These guys suck ass. Like, they requested to interview Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, which I think literally every team that has an opening has.
Shout out to the Cowboys for not even humoring them with an interview with Mike McCarthy.
Yeah. Big Mike, and I got something to say about that too. Big Mike was one of the first people they requested an interview. The Giants offensive coordinator, I could not tell you who the fuck that is, but the Giants haven't had a good offense since fucking, like, 2007. So I don't know why the fuck
I said that to my brothers, and they were laughing. They were like, please, take him, please.
I think they requested to interview the Dolphins defensive coordinator and the Cardinals offensive coordinator. And this is another thing. Like, I get a lot of these owners aren't football people, but the Bears have reportedly hired a committee to do their coach search, which isn't, like, crazy. But I guess it's supposed to be like a 30-some person committee that is going to be voting on these coaches. If you need a 30-person crew to tell you who the fuck to hire, sell the team. Like, you, especially the Hallis family. Like, George Hallis is rolling in his fucking grave. One of the pioneer owners in the NFL. Like, one of the most, like, impactful NFL people ever to walk Earth. And, like, your fucking sons and daughters are hiring fucking committees to fucking interview the Giants head coach. Like, what are we doing?
Honestly, I take everything back I said. Aaron Glenn is not the second best coordinator for a head coaching job. I don't even think Ben Johnson's the first. I don't know why I just totally overlooked it. But I've been high on this guy since he was a head coach. Brian Flores is a guy, and I think he was a great head coach on the Dolphins. And they just, all that controversy that happened, they just tossed them away like nothing. Brian Flores has turned that defense in Minnesota around, and they look good. They looked good this year. I was just kind of like overhyping the Ben situation. I think him and Ben are probably on the same page. I think Brian Flores is more rumored to actually leave. I don't think Ben's gonna leave. So I think they're both really good. But in reality, Brian Flores, he could go get any of these jobs, and I think he could turn it around. He is a good coach. I think he will be a good coach.
I think the biggest problem with Brian Flores is I think everybody thinks he's a great coach. I would be shocked if that man gets an NFL head coaching job within the next 5 years. Honestly,
he deserves it. But to be fair, I just looked it up, and Brian Flores came out and said that he would not be opposed to doing an interview and is interested in the Patriots head coaching job. So
yeah, but this is the thing. I haven't seen a single team request an interview. It hasn't even been, I think it's been 3 years since he literally sued the NFL, which is all these owners. So it's gonna take a while before a team willingly talks to this guy. I think he deserves a job too.
When he was on the Dolphins, he got a job for the Steelers, and now he's with the Vikings. So yeah, obviously he's getting
that's different. To have a Vrabel or a Kevin O'Connor bring you in a part of their staff, opposed to one of these millionaires that you are actively trying to sue, being I'm going to hire you and pay you all this money to run my organization. Those are two different things. Mike Tomlin's a good coach and Kevin O'Connell's a good coach, but say some young hotshot got hired and they wanted to bring in Brian Flores, an owner could be no, you're not going to do that. They're not going to.
Honestly, Aaron Glenn might be number one because after Sunday, and Brian Flores' defense looked good, but Ben Johnson's offense for a little bit looked fucking ass. Some of those plays were god awful. Some of those play calls were terrible.
Ben's biggest problem is he gets too smart sometimes.
If we pass on 4th and 1 again, I swear I'm going to jump on that field. That was the dumbest thing I've ever fucking seen. Play action too, let alone. What are we fucking doing? That was stupid.
Yeah, it is what it is.
This man Ben might be a fraud, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Yeah, I hope the Bears heard you just say that.
That's fine. They can come get him.
Fraud.
As long as they got Caleb, they can do fucking shit.
To wrap up on the head coaching thing, I saw this question. I thought you guys would like this one. If you're a head coach right now, taking situations into account, which one of these 3 jobs would be the most intriguing for you as a coach? Would you rather go to the Patriots and coach Drake May with a team that's going to have a bunch of cap space coming up, but in the Northeast and a lot of history, plus they just had a one and done? Would you rather go to the Jags with Trevor Lawrence, which is a team that's kind of set, but in theory you have a franchise quarterback and it's an organization that's probably going to give you a little bit of a runway? Or would you rather go to the Bears, which historically is a great franchise? They have Caleb Williams. They have a lot of really good pieces. They just are kind of dysfunctional. What do you guys think the best of those 3 jobs?
I'll let them decide. I was not listening.
Were you listening, Colin?
None of us listening.
I listened. I
went down a rabbit hole. I went down a rabbit hole of assistant coaches for a second. I'm so sorry.
I'll answer your question, Donnie.
I tuned in for the Bears part, so I heard.
I tuned in for
to sum it up. If you were a head coach candidate and you got offered these 3 jobs, what would you rather have? The Patriots with Drake May, the Jags with Trevor Lawrence, or the Bears with Caleb Williams? And the situations as a whole, not just the quarterback, but the cap space, the way the team's going forward.
Easily, it's definitely not the Bears.
So what is it?
Me personally,
I think I might go.
Oh, go ahead, Colin.
You go.
No, you got it.
I'm kind of leaning Jags, honestly.
Oh, I was leaning Patriots.
I was leaning Patriots.
See,
I think T-Lock can be a guy, and if you get a couple pieces,
there are a lot of good people on that Jags team, though. Tank Bigsby, Brian Thomas, Christian Kirk. There's a lot of dogs.
Like, I don't know how
Devin Lloyd's a dog
has coached them into the ground the last.
You just gotta coach. I mean,
it doesn't help that.
Wait, can I kick my kicker? Because if so, I'm going to Jacksonville.
My thoughts
when I first heard.
I think I kind of forgot Brian Thomas exists, but I think one of the most overrated jobs this cycle is that Jags job. I would not, if I'm Ben Johnson or like one of these high-profile guys, I would not want to go to Jags.
Why though?
Because
I'd go live in Florida. Get paid millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing, to be honest with you. Is
trips to London.
Yeah, but you know, T-Law has.
I was gonna say guaranteed trip to Europe every year.
What are you talking about? International travel.
This is the thing. If you aren't 100%
paid for,
if you're not 100% confident that Trevor Lawrence is like a fringe top 10 guy, that roster's kind of stuck. Like, you don't have a ton of flexibility.
And the roster's really good, though. They do have a good roster.
I don't think that roster's that great.
It's better than the Patriots.
I think the roster's okay.
It's a lot better than the Patriots.
They're keeping the GM who's been there for a couple of head coaches.
I would take almost at every position, give me the Jags players over the fucking Patriots players.
I just think that roster's kind of stuck. I don't think T-Law is like a bona fide top 10 guy where it's worthy of you paying him $55 million a year. I think the Patriots and Drake May is like, if you're super confident in your ability to bring in the right guys, I think that is like one of the best jobs.
But I just think that even if the question in T-Law, I look at almost every position on the Patriots, and I'm taking the Jags players over the Patriots players.
I think you're not factoring in. Yes, Marshall, but this is the thing. The Bears are in a spot where, like, I don't know exactly what their cap is, but they have a rookie quarterback, which means you're not paying him that much, even if he is a first-round pick. So, like, they have a lot of pieces, and you're not paying the quarterback yet, and you can kind of, like, maneuver shit. The Patriots and Drake May, you're not paying them anything, and I believe they have, like, $160 million cap opening up this offseason. So, like, you can do essentially whatever you want. And it's
also they just have Dick
and then you're talking the Jets.
But you're hypothetically, go ahead, Donnie.
This is the Bears are kind of tied to Williams as much as you can be for like a rookie quarterback. The Pats aren't really tied to Drake May. Like if you're a coach and like if Mike Vrabel goes in and he's not sold on Drake May, he could probably get rid of Drake May. Like honestly, like if he gets a good enough deal and like they believe in him.
There are two people on this team, the Patriots team, that I believe in. That is one, Drake May. I think he could be good, and then two, I think he's slowly top 10 best corner in football, Christian Gonzalez. That's it. Jelani Tabai is starting on this team.
Again.
Lions
their cap isn't tied up anywhere. Like they have
in Madden.
They have like free cap space. Like you can build whoever you want.
Yeah, hypothetically, you don't even have to use your fourth pick in the draft. You could get rid of it and get more pieces. Hypothetically, if you do use it, you could either get Drake May a weapon. If it was me, I would go get a left tackle because their pass block is atrocious. Do exactly how the Lions did a rebuild. You get you a Ladd McConkey in the second or third round. Who says that Patriots team doesn't sneak second in the division? Like,
no, they got all that cap space. I think
they don't go get a T. Higgins. You never know.
I still think I'm easily taking the Jaguars. I think,
you got Patriots 2 minutes ago.
No, I was not. I've never been on the Patriots. I was thinking Patriots, and then all of a sudden I started thinking about the rosters, and I'm like, this Patriots team sucks. I know you got cap space, but honestly, not a lot of people are going to want.
I think the Patriots would definitely be a tougher rebuild. Like I think it would be. It's going to take you a couple more.
I would pick that position under one. Honestly, I'd say it in my coaching interview. I'd be like, I will come coach this team if we go get Travis Hunter. If that's the case, done. I'll go get Travis Hunter because then guess what? We'll pick up a bunch of guys in free agency, and we're starting off with one of the best college football players in the league in the last 5 years.
The worst part is you'll have to trade up to get them.
Well, they're at 3, aren't they?
They're at 4.
Yeah, but the 3 teams in front of them, I bet you were all taking quarterbacks. It's Raiders, Titans, Giants. Tell me one, and all of those teams aren't taking quarterbacks.
Titans, Browns, Giants.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't want to get into this, but if the Patriots are sitting there with the option, I'm not even going to say it because I don't even want to start an argument. But I think of those 3 jobs that I listed, I think the Jags job, like what you said, Marshall, is right. If you had to pick these teams and like you had to immediately go to next year and you weren't allowed to make any draft picks, sign anybody, like, yeah, the Jags is the best job because they have a lot of people, a lot of okay guys already paid. So, like, I think you could get 8 wins with them pretty easy, where the Bears, the Patriots in their current state are like 5-win teams. But the thing is, you get to make all these moves and you have all this cap space that the Jags won't have. That's the difference.
And the Jags do still have cap space. They could still go out and sign. But see, here's the thing. I'm looking at every position on the Jaguars. I'm looking at every position on the Patriots. And just because the Patriots have probably 80 more caps, I think the Jags have 50 mil and the Patriots have 140 mil. That's fine, though. But you aren't going to be able to beat out every single one of these positions. The Jags already have. Jags, I'm looking at, like, you look at a starter of all their positions. It's a good team. Like, it is honestly not a bad team. You just get you some good coordinators and a good head coach in there. Like, that is going to be a good team. Like, I think it will. And you have a, top 5, top 6 draft pick? Absolutely. Give me the Jaguars, man. Absolutely.
To put a bow on it.
It's not even a question.
To put a bow on it, I think the Jags, I'm trying to think before I say it, but I think the Jags is the 3rd worst opening this cycle. I think the only jobs that are open that are like 100% worse is the Cowboys and the Saints in terms of their current state. I think the Patriots and Drake May is super optimistic if you're a guy like Mike Vrabel who can come in and bring in all your own guys and do it that way. I think the one where it's like, because you got to overcome something at all these jobs. I think the job that, like, you can go in and if you're a good coach can, like, legit be a fucking guy immediately is the Bears job. Like, you guys can hate Caleb Williams all you want. I think it's
You're in the toughest division in football, man. You're not winning a single. You might beat the Packers once. That's about it, man.
I think it's a close job, but the Bears are a historic franchise. They're usually patient with coaches. Recent memory has been kind of different, but it's a great organization. You have a guy in, like, the fucking expectations right now are fucking bottom of the barrel. Like, they were so high, so next year they're going to overcompensate and be too low. So I think if you're an offensive mind, you can go in there and kind of reset the culture. You got Caleb Williams. The Patriots job isn't far behind it because, like, Drake May, I think, is also a fucking guy. And if you go in there with all that cap space, I think that's a great job. I think you can't go wrong with either of them, but the Jags job is just, to be honest, I don't see the appeal in that job. I think if you take that job and you're not like legit the best coach in this cycle, you're going to be gone in 2 years. Like, I think
you have so much talent on your team to work with a top 5 draft pick.
I mean, Doug Peterson literally won a Super Bowl, and they just won fucking 4 games. So, like, it's not.
Also went to the playoffs a couple of years ago. Like, okay, Trevor Lawrence literally also got his fucking head taken off this year.
Okay, and he's also in by far the worst division in football, and they won 4 or 5 games. Like, again, that roster is not that good.
The roster is a lot better than the Patriots roster. Go through every position. I'm taking the Jaguars player almost all the Patriots.
How many games did the Jags win this year?
The same amount as the Patriots.
But the Jags roster is so much better.
Okay, Trevor Lawrence also died. Mac Jones sucks. Literally, Mac Jones started half their games. What do you mean?
And Jacoby Brissett started half the Patriot games. What are we saying?
Okay, not really.
Are they not comparable, guys? Like, what the fuck are we talking about?
Again, I still think it. And look, you act like that AFC. You act like the AFC East is any better. Just all they played is the Bills. That's all they play, and they beat the Bills. Yes. They beat the Bills.
Marshall, what's an easier division, the AFC South or the AFC East?
They're pretty fucking close, man.
No,
it's literally just the Bills. It's literally just the Bills, and it's just the Texans.
The Dolphins are good if they're healthy.
The Dolphins are okay. The Jets, for all the issues they have talent. Like, they're not devoid of talent. It's just they fucking suck this year. Whereas the Colts fucking suck. The Titans fucking suck. The Texans, who are a 10-win team and, like, looked good and had high expectations, they fell well short of those expectations. They're limping into the playoffs. Like,
whoa, calm down, Fred Warner.
The AFC South is one of the worst divisions we've seen in a while. That division fucking sucks.
All right, let's calm down. It wasn't that many years ago. We literally saw the fucking NFC East. But I mean, let's calm down. Let's calm down.
Oh my God, that year for the NFC East was fucking crazy.
A 7-9 team won their division, so we cannot even say it is.
Yes, and those are anomalies. I'm saying for a standard year, the AFC South is fucking awful.
Yes, it is awful, but I'm still
NFC South fucking trash too.
Give me Tank Bigsby or Ramon Stevenson. I'm taking Tank Bigsby. It was a lot better. Brian Thomas over the entire Patriots fucking wide receiver core and argue with a wall.
Again, for the 100th time, you have almost double the cap space. Like, you can bring in guys that the Jags will not be able to bring in.
Yeah, and who are they going to bring in? Because nobody, I don't think, wants to go play for that team. That team, again, it's just like nobody really wants to go play for that team.
If Mike Vrabel goes to the Patriots, you're telling me motherfuckers aren't going to want to go play for Mike fucking Vrabel.
Oh, well, they didn't want to in Tennessee, obviously.
They literally did. Okay, let's move on.
They fucking sucked. He got fired.
This man's absurd. Yes, and everybody agrees that was one of the worst firings in recent NFL history.
How bad? I mean, they were bad. I mean, bro couldn't put up a fucking winning season, obviously. I mean, I love Mike Vrabel, but you're trying to make me hate on him right now. You're making it sound like you're going to the Jacksonville. You might as well fire yourself day one. You act like there's no talent in Jacksonville whatsoever. Like,
I think there is. My thing isn't so much that they're limited on talent. I think they're just. It's unless you can get Trevor Lawrence to 100% in nobody's doubt of their mind, Trevor Lawrence to be a top 10 guy, bona fide. Like, I think you are going to end up fired.
All right,
like
Trevor Lawrence also last year did pass for 4,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Like, okay, I think if you put him in and take him in a year with a good year and bring in a new head coach and bring him in some guys, I think he can put up good stats.
But it's not like he got hurt week 2. Like, he didn't look good this year before he got hurt. Like, the team was still fucking like basically winless when he went down.
Okay. I mean, the first couple weeks of the season, again, he wasn't great, but wasn't, terrible. I think Doug Peterson is kind of ass.
I mean, he literally won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles, so like.
Oh, yes, because we're comparing the GOAT to Doug Peterson. Let's calm down.
I think Mike McCarthy's ass too, but like he won a Super Bowl, so like you got to give him credit.
We are just going to keep talking in circles, so we got to move on. Is there any other weekly news that we want to talk about, or do we
fucking say, come on to me? You brought that dumbass question up.
Good question. It's not my fault. You think the Jags job is the best job in NFL history? It's like
I didn't say that. I just said I prefer it over the fucking Patriots.
Bro basically compared that bitch to the Chiefs job. Like, calm down, Martha. Goddamn.
I never fucking said that. You're just fucking stupid.
You were acting like that was a good job. Anyway.
Yes, it's a better job than the fucking Patriots. Good Lord.
The only other thing.
The Patriots the last 3 years have been nothing but dumpster fires. Final week of the season. Picks are finally over. We kind of know it was a bit of a dead heat in week 18. I don't have, because I'm not moving to it. You guys can go back and watch the video if you want to. I'm not gonna go game by game. I'll just say the ones I remember. But the records in last place at the record of 9-7 was Donnie. He picked some rough one. He picked the Chiefs, I believe. He picked. He's
a Carson Wentz believer. I don't know what to say.
I knew I had a bad week.
Yeah, a starter in the NFL. Carson Wentz.
Hey, yeah. Did you see those 98 yards he threw for though?
That takes spoiled milk. Let's just say that.
Hey,
third place at 11-5 was me.
Solid week.
Second place, and we all know he'll become second in the all-time points. Colin at 13-3, and Dallas finishing out Week 18 strong at a 14-2 record. Overall records on the season, regular season number 2. Last year the placings was Donnie in first. I don't have the exact records. I'll keep these ones though. Donnie was in first place. I believe it was Dallas in second. I was in third, and Colin was in last. This year, at a record of 187-85, Dallas comes in first place. Colin at a record of 183 and 89 comes in second place. At a record of 166 and 105 is Donnie in third place. And a record of 162 and 109 is me in fourth place. So 4 games separated first and second, and 4 games separated. 4 games separated first and second, and 4 games separated third and fourth. I know last week it's funny because Donnie was like, "Well, I think I'm like 8 games ahead of you, or 7 or 8 games ahead of you," and then this week, because I went 9-7 last week, he went 11-5. I went 11-5 this week. He went 9-7. So we just straight up flip flop. So good regular season all around. Congratulations, Dallas, on your dub, getting the dub this year. So I wish I still had the records. I'm not going. I probably could go back and watch the video because I'm curious at like the all time of both years records. I would think with how low Donnie's records was, I think Dallas would probably still be. I think he'd be in first place. Donnie with a close second.
I think that was pretty far ahead of everybody last year.
I remember you being.
I don't think it was like a huge gap.
I remember you being about 10 games away. I think it was like 10 games away, but Dallas did have a 21 game gap on you for first and third. So I
might have made up some ground.
Yeah.
I'm probably in second all time.
You are most definitely, I would think, second all time, because I remember Colin having an abysmal record last year.
I think I was lucky to break 100.
Yeah, I think Colin was a rough record.
I was lucky to break 100 last year. So I did well in the playoffs, though. The playoffs I locked in.
I'm going to go back and watch that episode. I'm going to find it and see if I can think of it, because I think it'll be close between me and Colin. And because I took third last year and Colin took second this year. So I'm curious, but I know Colin's record last year was rough. So
it was real bad. But I mean, 180 this year. I mean, that was
good year, guys. So we'll keep a little separate playoff record there. But yeah, so that is the regular season picks. No more all game picks. We move on to playoff picks. Colin, let's do it.
All right, starting off with the wild card round this week. Chargers at Texans.
Can we take a second to talk about? I know you guys have seen it. The Texans. Every year they make the playoffs, they get the exact same slot and the exact same wild card round. They were showed a thing that they last 8 years they've made the playoffs. They get the Saturday at 4:30 game every single year. Every single year they've made the playoffs. It's like
nobody wants to watch that fucking division.
It's just the Texans. Like last year they were really exciting. This year they've been a little bit underwhelming, but last year they were a lot better. I think this year the team just. I don't know. And the things that happened with Tank Dell, man, that was rough, honestly. And then Stephon Diggs went out for the year, but yeah.
Chargers at Texans. I'm going to go Chargers. Jim Harbaugh gets a playoff win. First year back in the NFL.
Yes, I am also picking Chargers. I'm actually very confident in this pick. CJ is in a pretty bad sophomore slump ever since he tried to big bro Caleb Williams. He's been on a downhill trajectory. Number 1 scoring defense for the Chargers this year. Like their defense is crazy, and I can definitely see a good win from the Chargers.
Justin Herbert's been playing really well lately too.
Yes.
Sounds like Bryce Young should have big brothered Caleb Williams. Yeah, it's scary being at home. You never know what can happen. But this Chargers team is something else. And I wasn't a big Jim Harbaugh liker, but I was watching some stuff about him, about mainly his family, around the whole Harbaugh family, and every team he's gone to, he's turned around.
Shout out to Bowling Green.
I love you, Colin.
I wasn't gonna say it, Colin. I wasn't gonna say it.
Shout out Bowling Green. Yes, I'm so happy.
Move on.
Every team he's joined, he's improved, and every team he's left, they've left in kind of a rough state. So yeah, this Chargers team's great. Yeah, I'm gonna go Chargers. It's weird because the Texans are at home, so you never know. But yeah, give me Chargers and Lad McConkey to go off. Rose a dog.
Yeah, I think out of all the games this week, I see this one being the closest. I don't really know why. Yeah, I think the Chargers are a better team, currently constructed, but Texans are at home. There's something to be said about that. Chargers, I feel like, are still a really young team. I mean, the Texans are too, but I feel like they're pretty evenly matched. But I'll go with the Chargers here. I think Jim Harbaugh will be the difference. His coaching.
When you say this game will be close, I kind of already. This probably isn't what you mean, but I think this game's gonna feel like a blowout, but it's gonna be close. Like the Chargers are gonna get up 14-0, and then the Texans are just gonna chase like 14-7, 17-7, 17-10, and then they're always gonna stay ahead by 1 or 2 scores. But the Texans are never really good game control.
I think another point. I think that out of all the games that are likely to be an upset, quote unquote, I could see this week being the week. I just think the Texans, I think there's a lot more negative views on them than what the actual roster is. I think they have not met expectations. I don't think they're a great team. If I was to pick every team in the playoff, they're probably the second worst. But also CJ Stroud, he can have one singular great game. So you know what I mean? That's kind of how I view it.
Yeah. Steelers at Ravens. Give me the Ravens, no question.
Yep. Hot take. Mike Tomlin is holding the Steelers back. And
they were talking about that on ESPN yesterday on one of their talk shows. That was something I was going to bring up during the coaching talk.
I didn't hear that. But I genuinely thought that last year Mike Tomlin is holding the Steelers back from being.
I think it was Stephen A. They were talking about with him about whether or not Tomlin should be fired after this year because he's just kind of plateaued as the Steelers coach.
It's not
he gets you into the playoffs every year. They haven't won since 2016.
Haven't won a playoff game since 2016. You can't get a good draft pick. You can't get a good.
Or sorry, I think it's 2018.
Either way,
but still,
Mike Tomlin is, by being good, is holding this team back because you're not able to build a roster off of 9-8, 10 playoff team just to lose in the first round. And that's what he's gonna do. That's what he's known for. Give me the Ravens.
I'm gonna agree to disagree. I don't know. I think a lot of it is just the team. I think Najee's a bit overrated. I think he's. Actually, I'll take back overrated. I just think he's mid. He's just 1,000-yard season. Okay, that's consistent, but you're averaging 3.9 a carry, and you're not really that explosive. Russ was cooking, and then he turned the burner off, and now it's kind of I don't know. But I do think some of this is on, I think it's a bit on everybody. So I'm not just gonna blame Mike Tomlin because I do think he's a great coach. But I agreed. I mean, it's kind of wild. They're gonna lose in the first round again. I mean, they had this division on lock, and then all of a sudden, tides turn. And I think they've just lost so many in a row. I don't think they can come to Baltimore and win. So yeah, give me the Ravens.
Yeah. Respectfully, it is January 8th, and I think Dallas just locked up worst take of the year.
He's not alone. He's not alone.
I don't think that's worst take of the year.
To say he is holding them back is crazy. This is a team that went to the play. Steelers were in the playoffs last year, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a team that was quarterbacked by Mason Rudolph. The fact that he is taking these teams.
Imagine if they had a draft pick to get a good quarterback.
Yes, but in my mind, those are two different arguments. The argument of
you can't get a good draft pick if you keep sneaking into the playoffs.
Oh, yeah, but you can't fault a head coach for winning. What? What are
I mean,
saying?
you were also the same person that said you just don't want to go to the playoffs every year and lose in the first round, and then that would be absurd. That's exactly what Mike Tomlin's done.
Yes, but this is the thing. This is where I'll critique Tomlin. I think Tomlin needs to. I know it won't realistically happen, but in theory, he needs to have the GM aspect taken away from him. I don't think he's a great roster builder. I think I kind of think of it as the same way these later years of Bill Belichick at the Patriots. He's not good at building a talented roster in the modern NFL, but you could give him a fucking middle school boys team, and he's gonna make them. He's gonna whatever he brings in, whatever he has, he's gonna coach up to the highest they can possibly be. So I think his GM aspect needs to be taken away. He can't build a roster, but he can coach as well as anybody in the world right now. That's how I do it.
You want to hear a hot take? honestly, you do this halfway through the season, I think they win the division. You sit Russ, you sit Najee, you start Justin Fields and Jalen Warren. I think they're better. Honestly, maybe not Russ over Jay, but I do think Jalen Warren's better. That man's explosive. That man does play good. And Justin Fields wasn't even playing bad. And there would be a deadly combo together.
Yeah, I mean, Russ was undefeated for a while there. Like, I don't think Russ at the beginning wasn't the problem. It's been Russ this last month that's been the problem. So I kind of agree with, kind of don't. But yeah, to kind of put a button on it, I think it is tough because Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in half a decade or so, whatever exactly it is. And as much as I don't agree with him being the reason they're held
almost
back,
10 years, by the way, 8 years.
Has it?
It was 2016.
Yeah, I that is optically rough, and I get it. And I'm not even saying, like, I could 100% see them firing him or trading him. Like, I'm not saying that he's. I think him holding them back is an absurd take, but I don't think, like, them moving on or, like, what he's done has technically hurt the franchise is.
Imagine Ben Johnson on the Steelers.
I think that would be a horrible spot for him to go.
Yeah.
But, sorry, put a button on it. I've been talking for a while. Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to win this. I just think the Steelers, they picked a really bad time to be playing really bad football. This last month has not been good for them. While they've fallen off, the Ravens have kind of picked up steam. Their defense is playing great. Kyle Hamilton is kind of playing more. I believe he was playing more in the box or more safety, and they've kind of put him in the box again, like what they did last year. And their defense has gone from iffy to up towards the top of the league again. So I just think that, and then being at home, I just think that's too much for this current Steelers team to handle. So give me the Ravens.
Yeah. Broncos at Bills. Sneaky good game, I feel like. My instant reaction was Bills, no question, but, like, I mean, maybe Broncos make it a game. I am going to lean Bills, though. MVP favorite Josh Allen going to get it done. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with Colin. I think this is going to be like a shootout type game. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see this being the best game on the weekend, honestly. But I do think Josh Allen is going to prove why he deserves this MVP, and the Bills are going to get it done.
Yeah, give me the Bills, no question.
You know, we've all picked two accordingly. I do think the Bills are going to win, but I also see a very, very realistic world where the Broncos go in and kind of shock the world and beat this Bills team. Because as good as that offense is for the Bills, their defense isn't amazing. Bo Nix, I think, has shown he's been spotty, but he can go in and he can light somebody up, especially a defense that's not a top unit. I think the Broncos' defense is obviously amazing. They just beat the absolute shit out of the Chiefs, so they're riding high going into the playoffs.
Well,
backups. The second
stringers.
I know, but going in and beating the if they would have won 7-0, I think that would have been bad vibes. So
going out, then 33-0 on backups ain't
like I said when the Lions were beating the shit out of the Jags and Titans. There's something to be said about you're expected to go in there and beat somebody's ass, and you go in there and you beat their ass. I think there's something to be said about that, even if it's not like the biggest thing in the world. So I do think the Bills are going to win, but for the sake of these picks, I'm going to go with the Broncos upset.
All right. Packers at Eagles. Eagles, no question. Rough time for the Packers to be so injured. Yeah, give me the Eagles.
Yeah, Christian Watson out. Jordan Love questionable. Eagles. I think it was gonna.
I know Donnie's gonna say that gives them a better chance to win in Philly. But
yeah, I'm not gonna get into that conversation. I think the Eagles were gonna win regardless, but yeah.
Yeah, prayers up to Christian Watson, but honestly, no disrespect, I think he's probably the worst receiver on that team. I always thought he's overrated as hell.
This man said prayers up, but you fucking suck. Like,
I said no disrespect. I'm just putting it out there that I don't think his injury is going to impact this team that much. Besides that he can be a deep threat. But, yeah, give me the Eagles. Give me the Eagles 34-10.
Yeah, it ain't gonna be pretty.
I think this one's my gut tells me that it's gonna be close, but I think this is by far the most unpredictable game of the week, just because of the injuries. I think fully healthy, the Eagles beat the shit out of this Packers team. I'm not gonna lie, but Jalen Hurts is still questionable. I don't think we'll know if he's gonna clear concussion protocol until their first real practice, which I believe is Wednesdays. So, kind of a bad spot on us recording on Tuesday. So we don't really know until after this comes out. Or until after we...
This was your suggestion.
Who? Me or him?
Marshall.
Oh, I didn't hear what he said. I thought you said...
He said, yeah, Colin, after you said we're recording on Tuesdays.
But, yeah, Jordan Love hurt his hand, and Quay Walker is questionable, which, fuck. Honestly, that might help the Packers. That motherfucker makes none but stupid fucking decisions. But
that's only against the Lions. Only against the Lions. He's actually a good player. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, Christian Watson going out where, like, this team's pretty young, and he's been on the team for a minute, so I feel like he is one of the vets for them, even though, like, he's not really, like, a long vet. But if you look at this Eagles injury report, Jalen Hurts, don't know about the concussion, like I said, until after this comes out. Devontae Smith is on there questionable. Nakobe Dean, A.J. Brown. Those are some big players for them. Not only that, their vibes are kind of weird coming off the sit and Saquon, not letting them even try for the record thing, which, it's a good decision and a bad decision. Just, I see both sides of that coin. So this one's going to be really weird factoring in the injuries. I'm going to go with the Eagles just because I think even if both quarterbacks miss, all the wide receivers miss, I think there's a very real possibility that Saquon could win them this game by himself. Like, he is one of those guys, so I will go with the Eagles at home.
All right. Commanders at Buccaneers. I think this is going to be another really good game. There's a lot of good games this week. Some good wild card round matchups.
Almost like it's the playoffs.
Well, yeah, but like, some teams, like, it's like you fucking suck and you like sneak in and you're going to get, blasted. But I think I kind of thought about that. Yeah.
Bro's gonna sneak in and get blasted.
I don't want to hear shit from you right now, Marshall. We didn't get it on tape, but you know.
I was gonna say, wait, what did I say?
You know what you did.
I don't know what I did. I don't know what you're doing.
Repeat what he said, Colin.
No, I'm good.
Colin, you're on one. I don't know what I said. I don't know.
I don't need me to be on tape saying that. That's crazy.
Tape anyway, saying what? I don't know.
All of that to say, give me the Commanders over the Buccaneers.
Yeah, no, I was also going to take the Commanders. This was my upset of the playoff weekend. Bucks, they're so up and down throughout the season. They'll score 40 points and then they'll just get shit on by.
I know. I was sweating that game. Oh my gosh.
I love Jane Daniels this year. He's got that CJ mojo from last year. He's cooking right now. I like the Commanders right now.
I am most excited for this matchup. I was a big Drew Brees guy, and I watched a lot of the Saints.
Drew Brees mentioned.
And Marshawn Lattimore versus Mike Evans always went insanely hard. And
dude, I can't believe we're getting that again.
I've always been on the
prime time too.
I love Mike Evans, and he is a Hall of Famer, no question. And Washington and injured, he's still really good, but prime Marshawn Lattimore owns Mike Evans, and I will say that from the top of the hills. I don't give a fuck. You pull up the tape. This man, you could say, oh, this man, Mike Evans beat his ass. I will forever hate Mike Evans for that clip where Jameis Winston came on the field and touched Mike Evans' helmet, and Mike Evans turns around and literally pushed him away to get off. And this man, Mike Evans, blindsided him and almost killed him from running 20 yards away. I've always thought Mike Evans was the biggest bitch for that clip. It's one of the most cheapest shots I've ever seen. And then he cheap shot him again.
My quarterback.
And then cheap shot it again when he was him and Tom Brady were talking, and he comes in and cheap shots him. And then Mike Evans Marshawn Lattimore for about 2 years straight owned that man, Mike Evans. But he's been injured this year, so I'm glad we still get to at least see the matchup. We know they're going to beef. So I'm excited for that more than anything. The matchup itself is very hard. Tampa Bay at home is Baker could go for 5 touchdowns, or he could go for 0. It's like
0 and 3 interceptions.
This man put me on edge last week because of my bet. I thought Spencer Rattler was about to win that game, and I lost my mind. I was gonna go Washington, but all you guys went Washington, so I'm not gonna backtrack. I'm gonna stick with my pick. I'm gonna go Washington. I love what Jaden Daniels is doing this year. Be the second year in a row we see a rookie come in as the underdog and go on the road. Oh wait, no, never mind. I forgot the Texans were a wild card. I thought for some reason they didn't win their division last year. But yeah, I'm taking this Washington team. They're looking good. They've been on a roll too.
I agree with most of the things you guys said. This is kind of like a weirder take, but I think out of all the games where it's like you're going to want to watch the ending of any of these games, I think this game is going to have an incredible ending. I just have that feel to
this game is going to be good.
I think, especially with what Jaden Daniels has done basically all year, but especially the last couple of weeks, like the last 2 minutes of these games, he has put the cape on, gone full Superman mode. It's amazing to watch. Matt, you guys are right. The Bucs have been really up and down. Literally looking at their last 4 games, 40-17 against the Chargers a month ago, and then they lose to Dallas at 2-point game. Then they beat the shit out of the Panthers at home, and then they just squeaked out a win against the Saints at home. So like it's been very back and forth, back and forth. I think the Commanders are going to give them a ton of problems. I watched this thing that the Bucs play a lot of like. They don't really press corner or the wide receivers too much. They kind of give them some space. I think that's one of the Commanders' worst things is their wide receivers outside of Terry McLaurin. So, like, if you don't press them and they kind of get a free release, I think that's going to obviously help them out an incredible amount. But, like I said, the Bucs have been up and down. They were down last week, and I just think that Todd Bowles and Baker, like they're just the more experienced team in this scenario, so I'm going to go with them at home. Jaden Daniels, I think, is going to put in an amazing performance, but I just see the Bucs squeaking this one out.
All right, Vikings at Rams. I know you guys have been picking one upset for the week, but I'm going 2. Vikings have played the Rams twice now this year, both fresh off of a loss to the Detroit Lions, and I think it's going to happen again. I could see this Vikings defense being pissed off that their performance got wasted, but yeah, I don't know, just a gut feeling. I think the Vikings are going to come out flat again, and they're just going to stumble and have a first-round exit. Give me the Rams.
Yes. You said underdog? Or the Rams the underdog?
The Rams are underdogs at home.
The Rams are the underdog.
Wow.
Yeah.
I believe.
It's close. I think it was Vikings minus. It was minus 2.5 last night when I took it.
It was -1, I believe, at the open, but now if you look, it is minus 2.5. So the line is moving. The Texans. I guess I could have said this when we were going through. The Texans and the Rams are the only teams that are home, but are the underdogs.
Hey. So. Interesting. Did not know that. It's not going to change my pick. The biggest question is which version of Sam Darnold are you going to get? Because that's going to determine if you win.
How bad did the Lions break that man's spirit this week?
How bad did the Lions break that man's spirit? They broke that man's back like Bane did Batman, guys. Like it's terrible, and the defense
is close to being real bad.
the defense.
I was like, what?
the defense of Minnesota is gonna keep them in this game. I can guarantee that. Mm-hmm. Stafford is gonna.
I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna take on Stafford's picks
on interceptions, guaranteed. If I could take over on turnovers at 2, I'd probably take that as well. But I think Sam Darnold is going to be the reason they lose this game. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I think they're just on a hangover after that loss. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty good game. Sorry, I was trying to look shit up as we were doing all that. But Yeah, I think this is going to be a great game. I think that Dallas is right. It's going to be the Sam Darnold question. If he comes out and looks what he did last week, I see the Rams boat racing them. If he comes out and he rebounds, I think everything will be fine. And I bet against the Vikings all year. I think after the Lions beat them, I was like, all right, here we go. Pumpkin mode Sam Darnold. They lose that following week, and I was like, all right, here they go. They're going to fall apart. And they ended up not losing again until just this last week. So I've been wrong on the Vikings all year. Not as wrong as Colin, but been a little wrong. Yeah, I just think that Sam Darnold's going to come out. I don't think he's going to be as bad as last week. I think he was rattled by what just happened. There was a lot of pressure this last week for the first time, I would say, really all year. Before that, they were kind of playing with house money. Like, everybody loved Sam. He was doing great for not really having expectations. He gets expectations last week, kind of falls to shit. I think now he's going to be like, not so much the division, but it's like, okay, if I play like shit again, he's going to play himself out of a good contract. Which, fair or not, I think that's the reality of the situation. That, and then when the Rams beat the Vikings earlier this year, it was when Stafford went fucking off. He had 4 touchdowns against that defense. For whatever reason, him and Sean McVay apparently can just cook Buffalo's defense. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I'm not sure how big of a blowout it's going to be or anything like that, but I just see Sam Darnold coming out not being good enough and Matthew Stafford just outplaying him enough to get the win.
All right, that's it. That's all we got this week.
Yep.
I wanted to do something.
I have to go, so I don't know what else.
Hold on, mine's real quick.
Gotta go with dog out.
Mine's real quick. So I'm trying to fucking give me 1 second. I'm trying to look up a bracket. I wrote down the consensus of all what we picked because it was 3 against 1 for pretty much every pick, or we all agreed.
How long is this gonna take?
Let me just look. Hold on, that dog can wait.
It's a 10-week-old puppy, dude.
Yeah,
it's a puppy.
Yeah, puppy ain't waiting.
Motherfucker's probably already out there shitting bricks right now.
Whole bricks? Damn.
Then she got a bunch of time.
What are you feeding it?
Fuck are you feeding that puppy, dude?
Bro, it's a fucking husky blue healer, a German Shepherd, and golden retriever mix. Bro's gonna be fucking Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal.
So
it's gonna be huge. God damn.
If we were just looking forward to next week, if we were all right on our picks, kind of consensus-wise, that would mean the Lions would host the 6-seed Commanders next week. I don't know about you guys, that scares the shit out of me.
Oh, it 100% does. I'm fully ready for it.
I'd rather play them than the Rams.
Then that would mean the Eagles would be playing the Ram? Yeah, the Ram. Eagles would be playing the Rams. That, I think, is fucking a really, really good game. The Chiefs would end up drawing the Chargers, which sounds pretty solid. I mean, we've already seen it twice. The Ravens would end up drawing the Bills, which the storylines for that game would go fucking nuts. And, yeah, I believe that's it. But I think that would set up some good matchups. I don't know about you guys. I do not want to see the Commanders next round at all.
I'd rather see the Commanders than the Rams. I'm not going to.
I don't know. I think Jane Daniels would give the Lions the most issues, but just wanted to kind of preview, if we were all right, what that would mean for next week.
I'm not really scared of anybody, considering they would have to come to Ford Field.
And Colin,
that's valid.
Confident. You're gonna have to walk through me.
I think the only team that I'm dreading that NFC Championship against the Eagles. Like, I think that's going to be
one team in the league that I'm scared of, honestly, and it's the Panthers. I'm not even gonna lie.
The team I want to play least, to be dead honest with you guys, is it would be awesome if we win. But if the Packers upset the Eagles and they come into Ford Field and we fucking lose, I am jumping off a cliff. So that is the only reason I want to play the fucking Packers. If the Lions are the 1 seed and the Packers still come into Lambeau and beat us, like,
you mean the Ford Field?
Yeah, that's what I meant. The Lions fucking sell the
team. Are you guys gonna do trivia, or
are
we just calling it? All right,
12:33. I'm calling it.
Well, yeah. Thank you guys for watching this episode. The regular season has wrapped up. Playoffs have started. We got about a month more of football. And then we hit the off season. So let's enjoy it while we can. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys in the next episode, and peace.